who calls this province home has the opportunity to thrive. And someone who really doesn't need much of an introduction, although I'm giving him one anyways. So please join me in welcoming the leader of Alberta's New Democrats, Naheed Nenshi.
Well, thank you so much, Rocky. Now, I speak very loudly, and up here it feels like this is very loud. So, Curtis, maybe we can pull down our levels just a little bit so that I'm not blowing everyone out, because I got some stuff to say. So, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And I want to really highlight that we're going to have a panel discussion. We're going to talk about some serious stuff. But you see the word after Black History Month: celebration. Yeah. And tonight is a celebration of the Black community here in Edmonton and across Alberta, of what we've accomplished and what we have left to do. We got a lot left to do. And that's really what I wanted to chat with all of you about today. I'm in the mood of thinking a little bit about history. So, as you heard from our wonderful opening speakers, the history of this land is very, very old. That building behind me is pretty old, and it's pretty symbolic, and I do love this room for that view. But just beyond that building is an ancient river valley. It has been here since time immemorial. And people have been brought here to this land by that water in that valley. And for thousands of years, people have been coming here to hunt and to fish and to trade, to dream and to dance and to live and to love and to fight sometimes. Sounds like your average Black family dinner. Or a caucus meeting minus the live, love, dream, and dance parts. But ultimately to engage in that very real act of building community. And that's what we continue to do here on these lands. So I am but a visitor to these lands. I don't mean as someone in the settler world, I mean as a Calgarian. But I will tell you that in southern Alberta, and hopefully up here as well, every school kid learns the story of the greatest Alberta cowboy, John Ware. John Ware, of course, came up from the United States to be the greatest Canadian cowboy. So there have been Black people on this land as long as there have been non-Indigenous people on this land. And since that time, for the last 150 years or so, we welcome people from across the Black diaspora here. People from the United States, people from Loyalist colonies, long-standing Black colonies across Canada. We have invited people from across the Caribbean and Africa who have deeply, deeply, deeply enriched the land here. So, as you heard, Black History Month was first proclaimed 30 years ago in Canada. But Alberta took a little while to catch up. 22 years after that, just 8 years ago, Premier Rachel Notley enacted the first Black History Month in Alberta. And since then, it's become an indelible part of our community. I was at a 2-year-old's birthday party last night in Calgary, and I was chatting about how I was coming to Edmonton to do a Black History Month event, and a little girl who was there, who was in grade 3, felt the need to tell me in great detail about how they celebrate Black History Month at her school. And I basically asked the question, do you have a lot of Black kids at your school? And she said, so many, but that doesn't matter. It's for the rest of us to understand. Which brings me to some more recent history. So 35 years ago this month, I met my best friend. And he is still stuck with me. He was my chief of staff. He's helping us in the NDP Caucus leadership. He's half Canadian and half Nigerian, which means he fights with himself all the time, especially about the best jollof. But he and I had an interesting upbringing, and I wouldn't tell this story in a different room, but I will tell it in this room, because I think that you will get it. You know, I'm an African too, by the way. My family is from Tanzania. So where are my East Africans at? So now, as a good East African, I was stuck with a West African, you know. But as he and I were growing up together, you know, if we were in the mall, or if we were wandering around in the community, and we'd see another Black person, you know what we did. The nod, right? You give them the nod. And I would always say, because I'm a bad human being, hey Chima, it's your cousin. And it always was. Because the community at that time was so small, right? But now, you can't play that game anymore. And that's such a great thing for us all, that the community has grown so much, and folks of Black descent have become such an important part of who we are as a community. But I want to get serious. When Rachel Notley proclaimed Black History Month in 1997, in 2017, excuse me, I'm really young, I'm very young, I'm only 39, I keep telling myself that. Time stopped when I got into politics. When Rachel Notley proclaimed that in 2017, I think a lot of us thought, well, the battles have been won. The fight is over. We have earned our place in the community. We have earned our place as proud Albertans and proud Canadians together. And for a long time, I think we lulled ourselves into a false sense of confidence that the world understood who we were and why we were here. And what we're seeing right now, I don't need to tell any of you, is an incredible backlash. For the last several years, all of you will know that racism has reared its ugly head back in a way that I thought was long gone. Casual racism on the street, in discourse, on social media, has come back in a way I haven't seen since I was a kid in the 1970s. Don't do the math. But perhaps more important than that, for the last several years, we thought we were winning the battle against systemic racism, institutional racism. You know, there's a quote that's attributed to the late Maurice Sinclair, one of my great heroes. I don't actually think it was him who said it because it doesn't sound like him. But the quote is that systemic racism is what you have left when you get rid of the racists. So in other words, you have to take a hard look at institutions, you have to take a hard look at how things have always been done. And we thought, well, we got rid of all the racists, and now we can look at systemic racism. And how wrong we were to see that kind of casual racism creep back into everyday discourse. And now, especially in the last 7-8 months, an organized institutional backlash against diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't know about all of you, but I never thought we'd be here. I thought we'd won the battles. I do remember speaking at many, many Pride events and saying to folks, remember Pride started as a political protest and it still is, because what we've gained can easily be taken away. But in my heart, did I think it was going to happen? Maybe not. But we're seeing it now every single day. And what that means is not that we give up. It's not that we step back on the gains that we've made as communities. It means we fight even harder. And that's a fight that none of us want. We fought that for far too long. But now we know that for ourselves, for our kids, for our grandkids, for all of those folks yet to come, we have to reinvigorate ourselves in that battle. We gotta do the work. And what I know is folk in this room are very used to doing the work. I know in particular, if I may, gentlemen, that our Black sisters are used to doing the work. I'm sorry to say, we gotta do the work again. But I think that we can find great joy in doing that work again. Great joy in telling people, look, we belong right here. We are proud Albertans, we are proud Canadians, and we are standing up for what Alberta and Canada stand for, regardless of what our governments tell us we should stand for. That's the work. That's the work that we have to continue to do, but I, for one, am proud to stand with you in doing that work. The greatest gift Canada has given the world is the gift of understanding pluralism, of understanding how people from different backgrounds, different faiths, different orientations, different levels of ability can live together purposefully on one land. And how we can build one another up and understand that very basic rule of what makes Alberta work. My neighbor's strength is my strength. And together we lift each other up. And that is precisely what we need to continue to do today. But I gotta tell you, I am surrounded by 38 extraordinary Albertans, the members of your Alberta's New Democratic Caucus, and the incredible work that they do every day. So can I get you all to give me a wave, all our caucus members? We elected these folks, and they're going to do the work. And I am so proud to stand with them. And I'm so proud to stand with every single one of you as we work to fulfill that basic promise of this community that regardless of what you look like or where you come from, regardless of how you worship, regardless of whom you love, you belong here. And together here, we create a better future for everyone. We don't have to settle. We don't have to settle for what this government gives us. We don't have to settle for people who tell us things will never get better than they are today, because we know under that big blue Alberta sky that better is always possible. And together we are united to do the work to fulfill that promise. So thank you all so much for being here. Let's have a great night, everyone. Have a great celebration.